It finally happened. One of Caeleb Dressel's NCAA records in one of his primary events, the 50 free, 100 fly, and 100 free, has finally been broken. I have to specify those events because Dressel was also briefly a record holder in the 100 breast and the 200 IM as well, but those have since been surpassed. Coming into the meet, all three records had the chance to be broken by someone. Jordan Crooks has broken 18 seconds more times than even Dressel has, but even with a personal best leading off the 200 free relay, 17.63 still has a healthy lead over the rest of history. Josh Leendo has had that 100 butterfly record shaking in his boots recently as well, and he went a new personal best in the final of the 100 butterfly by 1/100th, putting up the second fastest time in history and allowing 42.80 to live on another day. After Dressel's records in the 50 free and the 100 fly managed to survive, it was time for the 100 free, the record that I've long thought would be the first to fall, and it wasn't as lucky. In 2017, Dressel came as close as you possibly can to breaking the 40-second barrier in this event, a 40.00. The next year, as a part of his legendary 2018 NCAAs, he finally smashed through that wall with a 39.90, the first man under 40 seconds, and that record has stood ever since. But it had a good run, because in the prelims of the event, Jordan Crooks took off ahead of record pace, leaving the rest of his prelims heat in the dust. At the 50, Crooks was under 19 seconds, 18.98. Dressel's record split is an 18.96. Over the second 50, Crooks maintained his furious pace and eventually crashed into the wall with a time of 39.83, a new NCAA record. Crooks's final split of 20.85 was faster than Dressel's 20.94, which allowed him to overcome the 200th deficit from the first 50 and then some. A new NCAA record is about as much as you can possibly hope for from a prelim swim, but he still had the finals left if he wanted an NCAA title to go with that record. Getting that title wouldn't be easy though, because he'd have to go through Josh Leendo. Leendo is the two-time defending champion in this event, seeking his third title in as many years. Leendo and Crooks have had maybe one of the best rivalries in recent years. Crooks got the best of Leendo in the 50 free earlier at the meet, and in the 100 freestyle at SECs earlier this year, they actually tied in their final clash at that conference meet. In the final, it was time for these two rivals to throw down one last time, in lanes right next to each other as the top two seeds. Leendo led through the first 25, but at the 50, Crooks had taken the lead, and he was out even faster than he was in the morning with an 18.76. Leendo was also under record pace. Through the next 25, Crooks extended his lead. It looked to be his race to lose at this point. But on the final 25, Josh Leendo stormed home, and in the final yard, surged past Crooks to defend his NCAA title in a 39.99. At the start of the morning, only one man had ever broken 40, and now three have. Looking at the splits from this final, we can see how Leendo managed to pull off this upset victory. While Crooks had the lead at the 50, both were out very fast. Leendo's 18.94 is faster than both Crooks and Dressel were in their fastest ever swims. Then Leendo takes control on that second 50, outsplitting Crooks 21.05 to 21.30. However, this race was actually so close that looking at the splits by 50 doesn't tell the whole story, so let's break it down by 25s instead. Now we can see that Leendo had the slightest of advantages during the opening 25, before Crooks takes things over at the half. So far, it's what we already knew. But looking at that third 25, we can see Crooks actually extend his lead over Leendo. At the final turn, it really looks like Crooks had it in the bag. He had exactly a quarter of a second of a lead, which is massive in the 100 free. But Leendo dropped a monster of a final 25, smashing Crooks' time, 10.58 to 10.82. This final as a whole was absolutely stacked, containing 5 out of the 10 fastest performers in the history of this event, with all 5 of them except for Crooks going a lifetime best in that final, and of course Crooks took care of that in the morning. This is what the top performers list looked like before the final day of the meet, and this is what the top performers list looked like by the end of the day. Jordan Crooks wasn't done breaking records after the 100 free though, because him and the rest of the absolutely loaded Tennessee sprint group were ready for the final event of the night, the 400 freestyle relay. During the first 300 yards, it looks like many teams could take the relay title, with Florida having a slight lead. But then Jordan Crooks hit the water for Tennessee, and it was all over. On the first 50, he blasted an 18.35 2025 to take a sizable lead for Tennessee, a lead that he would grow through the rest of his leg as he put a body length on the field, leading Tennessee to a new NCAA record of 242.30. And he did so with a monster 39-36 relay split as the anchor, the fastest relay split in history. That concludes an incredible NCAA career for Jordan Crooks and is the final swim in an incredible 2025 NCAA swimming championship season. There's probably still a few more videos worth of swims from this meet and the women's meet, so we'll stay in the world of NCAA swimming for a little longer before moving on to something else. What was your favorite swim from these championships, and how long do you think it's going to be before another Dressel record goes down? Let me know down below.